You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Well, welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging out with you guys, and super excited about this quick topic that we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to talk to you guys for about 15, 20 minutes here about goal setting, and we're going to get into some stuff that I think is going to be very practical and very tangible with helping you guys set goals and grow your business. This is some of the stuff that I've learned along the way over the last 10 or 15 years as I've grown my businesses, my life, how I set goals, how Liz and I set goals. And, you know, setting goals isn't just a January 1st obligation, right? You can set goals every day, every week, every month, every year. And specifically, what I wanted to talk about on this podcast was something that really set me free a few years ago. And that is the topic of making progress and not perfection. Okay. A lot of us this year have gone a couple different ways, kind of like three baskets of folks that I've been talking to and listening to and engaging with you guys through coaching calls and Instagram messages and emails. And the three camps out there are, hey, 2020 has been the best year of your life. You've been crushing it. Your business has doubled, 100% improvement, 50% improvement, and you're printing money like the Treasury Department. You wrote your own stimulus bill, right? You got so much cash coming in. And I'm all about that life. I like that. We've had a pretty good year as well. Lord knows we've worked our butt off for that. But, you know, at the same point, I'm very empathetic to the fact that not everybody's had the most stellar year of their life. Some of us, have had an average year. You know, there was maybe some transitions, right? Maybe you weren't working as long as you wanted or as much as you wanted, and you know, the year is kind of flat. And that's okay. We're going to cover that for a little bit here too. And then some of you guys have had kind of a not so good year. You know, I've talked to some folks that have lost some key employees. They've lost some anchor or key accounts, if you will. And, you know, that's okay too. You know, sometimes those are rebuilding years, restructuring years, maybe reprioritizing type years. Like, for instance, big Detroit Red Wings fan, right? We're in Detroit, we're hockey town, right? And, you know, I think there was like 19 or 20 plus years in a row where the Red Wings made the playoffs. And that was like unheard of. It was like this huge streak, and it was like a shoo-in that the Red Wings would be in the playoffs, if not make it to, you know, Final Four or, in the Stanley Cup playoffs, whatever the Final Four is for hockey. And you know what? The last few years, if you're a sports fan, not so much. The Red Wings haven't looked too hot. I don't know what they're doing this year with COVID and the world shutting down. Who knows? Haven't really followed sports that much this last year. But, you know, we can't just get comfortable. Sometimes there's a rebuilding year, and that's kind of what the Red Wings are going through. And honestly, sometimes that's what some of us go through in business. So what I wrote down here is just some quick, fun topics to help you guys make practical goals, something that can help you grow your business, not only in the future, but right here in the short term. And I want to package this all together. And the underlying theme, the underlying tone that I want to talk to you guys about is progress. Let's make progress. Let's not seek out perfection. Okay. So it's going to be a fun, quick topic. Mr. Producer was busting my chops on Friday's episode, if you guys were listening in. And it just cracks me up, man. He was talking about all the mucus in my mouth. I don't know. He gets weird with some of that stuff. And but you know what? He is the best producer in the biz. He knows what we're talking about, what we're looking at. And here's the deal. You guys can see that I got the Essentia water right here. So I'm going to give a little cheers to Marty, Mr. Producer, as he's over there cheering on the other side, drinking his Pellegrino, and hopefully cheering both myself and Paul Jameson on with our podcast. So let's kick it over to Marty, Mr. Producer, to bring you guys the updates on the show, and we'll come right on back.
Thanks for choosing to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast here during Thanksgiving week. I just saw a headline earlier today about how each year over 8,000 turkeys die of heart attacks, but that's not what caught my attention. Even though 8,000 turkeys have a heart attack every year, it's got scientists puzzled. They can't figure it out. Hey guys, you think the stress of the holidays might have something to do with it?
Expedite your productivity. Introducing CartMate Pro and RS by Dawson Manufacturing. This industry-leading front-mounted zero-turn articulating cart mounts to the front of the mower you already own, making you more profitable. With the ability to move mulch, leaves, dirt, and much, much more 2 to 3 times faster and dump your load effortlessly, you'll increase productivity while reducing labor costs. What could you do with the extra time? I'm sure your wife has an idea. Order your CartMate Pro today at MulchMateUSA.com and never wheelbarrow again. That's MulchMateUSA.com or text Labor Saver to 31996. That's Labor Saver to 31996 for exclusive deals, info, and maybe even some freebies. Normal text messaging rates apply.
For those of you guys interested in breaking into the snow removal game, this one's for you. Now available exclusively at thelawnpreneuracademy.com. We've got you covered with the How to Get Started Plowing Snow training program. This powerful resource is there to help you guys learn the basics to plowing snow, what to charge, major pitfalls and mistakes to avoid, and so much more. Hands down, one of the most anticipated and helpful training programs we have available. We'll get you up to speed on how to crush it with your snow removal business in no time. Check out the training program today at lawnpreneuracademy.com, because before you know it, we'll be out there plowing that snow and making that dough.
Need professional-grade yard shoes or landscape boots for you and your crew? Visit CujoYardwear.com and use the promo code Bryans10 to save 10% and receive free shipping. Now, back to the podcast.
All right, good deal, guys. Well, here's what I want to do is let's just jump into it. We're going to keep this episode short and sweet as we go into this kind of like this off week, if you will. Sometimes we work on Thanksgiving week, sometimes we don't. It just depends if we got the weather for cleanups or if we're plowing snow. And in fact, just the other day, we got a 1 to 3 inch kind of system that came through. Nothing really stuck to the ground, but it was that snowstorm. All my southern folks here, I got to paint the picture for you. We got just enough snow to where it covered the grass, but not enough snow to where there was any sizable accumulation on the pavement, the sidewalks, or the driveways. So we can't do snow plowing. We can't do leaf cleanup. And for us, all of our snow stakes are out. And so we're kind of in this like limbo service mode. And you know what we do back at home then? We work on our snow blowers and we put together shovels that we bought off of, from Earthway. And we get to put those boxes all together, right? So that's what we're doing this week. And quite honestly, we're taking a week off. We're hanging out. We're chilling out. Sometimes it's nice to have that margin where you can just pay your guys salary, get them taken care of, give them some holiday cash. And then not only that, take the week off for yourself, do office work, and, track what's going on with your business and your life. And that's what we're going to talk about. Over the last few years, my goal has been to make progress in my business, not perfection. In fact, one of the things that I said on last week's episode that one of you guys commented on was, you don't have to be the best, just make it happen. You don't have to be the Amazons of the world and the Apples of the world. Just make progress, just make it happen. And this has been on my mind a lot lately, because some of the coaching calls I get, sometimes we get like really advanced. We're talking X's and O's and numbers and finances. And I love that because that's what the coaching calls are there for, right? We get to get intimate, break down the walls. You trust me, I trust you. Dude, we just shoot the breeze. You're like, hey, dude, I got 18,000 in this account, 48 grand on this truck, 12,000 left on this mower. What do I do next? How can I do what's next? How can I get to where I want to go? And that's called progress. And those are the conversations that I like to have. Well, we're doing the exact same thing with our business, our life. I mean, one thing I said maybe in the interlude here was, goals aren't something that you set once a year. There's a lot of vanity in setting goals January 1st. And that's fine. That's cool. That's good. In fact, for most folks, that's the first time they set goals all year. That's the last time most people set goals all year, coincidentally enough. And so what I like to do, though, is set goals, figuring out what I want to have done by the end of the year, the following year, right? So we're going to get into it really quick. I just got some quick ideas, and then we're going to talk about how to set SMART goals. But one of the things I'd like to do is, if I was going to finish up this year, what would I be happy with? What would I want the year to look like? Like, for example, January 1, we're going to get a bunch of customers and make a lot of money and grow the business. And I'm so excited. And that's fine. That's cool. But we got to make some tangible goals here. And we'll break this down and I'll tell you exactly how we do it, how I did it, because this is what I've learned along the way. It's what's worked for me. But if you want an overarching thought for this whole conversation is, if you're going to finish up the following year, what do you want that year to look like? Like, for example, if this happened, I would say that this was a good year. If I paid off my truck, if I put 50 grand in the bank, if I bought a Ferrari, if I made 4 new crews, started 4 new crews, something tangible. So that's something that I want to talk about is, if the end of the year hit and we fast forward to, December 31st of 2021, which we all know that by the time we snap our fingers, it'll be here. I swear to God, the older I get, I feel like the clock, arms just swing and go like in circles faster and faster and faster. And I'm like, the older I get, the faster time seems to go, which is just crazy. So if you want to finish the year, set some tangible goals for yourself. And what I wanted to go back to is that this year, we're 11 and a half, almost 12 months done with the year. We're 11 months in, right? Mid-November, late November here. And maybe you had a great year. Maybe you didn't have a great year. What I would love to encourage people to do, if you can do anything, is try to make progress. Every single day, make progress. Make progress against you over you against yourself, your business over what it was this same time last year, right? That's something that I really, really, really try to measure. And the more that we have the information, the bookkeeping, the accountant, the payroll, the reports, all these different things, and we sit down and we actually stare at these pieces of information. I like what Mike Bedell said on one of our podcasts. He said on Mondays, he likes to look at his office, look at his QuickBooks, look at his charts, look at his numbers, look at his paperwork, and let the business, if you will, talk to him while he's talking to it. Here's what I need to do, and here's what the business is looking like, and it can talk back to me. It's this weird conversation that you get to have and analyze so you can start figuring out what you want the week to look like. And you guys have heard me say it, many people say it, that once you string enough good days together, you have a good week, you have a couple good weeks, you have a good month, string a couple good months in, you guys have a good quarter, and you have a couple good quarters, you can have a good year, versus just having this like esoteric, I'm just going to make an extra $100,000 this year. Well, break that down per day, per week, per month, per quarter, and how are you going to start making those goals come to pass, right? So something that I learned a long time ago, and this is really key for helping me set goals, is the SMART system or the SMART method. If you guys want to go Google it, you can Google it. There's tons of information out there. I was at a business success seminar 10, 11 years ago, and I heard a guy go through this once, and I don't think he really made it up. I think he had learned it and was just passing that information along during that training at that seminar. But let's write this down really quick or log this in the back of your brain and then go Google this later. And this will help you set up a good system for goal making. It was SMART. So it's an acronym, I think that's what they call it, for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant or relatable, and then time. So time bound. So specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So let's talk about that. This is how I set a lot of my goals, whether it's January 1 or, you know what, to be honest with you, I had my goal card up on the shower and I took it down about a month ago because it was already irrelevant because I had crushed a couple of the different goals, and some of the goals, they weren't even relevant anymore. I changed what I wanted. And so I made a new goal card. So again, you don't have to just set goals January 1st and they're like, etched in stone on this like epitaph thing. You can change these along the way. But one thing that I like to do is be specific. And that's probably the biggest one I could relate to, besides like a time bound on it, is because I talk to a lot of folks, and we all hear this in February, March, April. Oh, I'm going to get, a bunch of new customers. I'm going to make a bunch more money, or I'm going to kill it or crush it. And it's really elusive. It's so esoteric. There's no tangibility to it, right? It's not specific. Now, if you said to me, hey, I want to make $25,000 by the end of June 1st, 2020, or 2021, I would say, ooh, that's good. That's specific. That's something that is tangible, right? If somebody says, I want to make a lot of money, well, I could say, well, let's help you make $1,000. And you go, dude, I want to make a lot of money. Well, $1,000 is a lot of money to some folks. You ask somebody who could use $1,000, and $1,000 is a lot of money. And, somebody else that's a specific goal is, I want to make $100,000 a year or $100,000 more this year. Okay, cool. Well, now we have different game plans, different conversations, and we know what we're trying to accomplish. So that was one that I always tried to remember when I set goals. It's, I'm going to get more healthy. Well, being healthy is like esoteric. It's elusive. What does healthy look like? I mean, what is the definition of fitness? What is the definition of healthy? I mean, that conversation could be argued forever. I mean, every different part of the industry of health and fitness has its own definition of what that looks like. What does success look like to you? It's the same thing. What does health look like to you? What does fitness look like? For some people, it's muscle all over the place. Some people, it's lean and mean. Some people, it's I can run a marathon, 26.2. Everybody's definition is different. But if I said, hey, are you healthy? you would say, well, I don't know. Or maybe you say yes, but to somebody else, you might not be. So we want to be specific. We want to make sure that if you want to be healthy and you're like, hey, I want to be 185, I want to be at, 10% body fat, I want to be able to bench 225 30 times, and I want to run, 6.5 minute miles. All right, cool. Like we got some different metrics in this like 4 or 5 pointed star about what you want your cardiovascular health to look like, your body fat to look like, your muscle, strength to look like, your strength and conditioning, what you want that to look like. We're specific. And I think a lot of times, we hear in the spring, I just want to get 50 new customers, or I just want to start 8 new crews. And although that is sort of specific, it's not very tangible. Why do you want 8 new crews? Well, I want 8 new crews because I think it'll help me gross $400,000 more per year. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Let's start with the 400,000, work backwards. And maybe it is 5 crews or 8 crews, right? Or 2 crews. So be specific, not to be a dead horse, but be specific. Number 2, measurable. When you set specific goals and you have monthly goals, yearly goals, or weekly goals, if you have something that you're measuring, that's how you know you can track progress. Right? If we don't have anything to measure against, how do we know we're making progress, right? Your car has a speedometer, it has GPS, right? We need to make sure that we're measuring certain things so we know where we're at on this adventure, on this journey, right? So when you set goals, make sure it's something that you can measure. Again, well, I just want to get more healthy, or I just want to have a bigger business. Okay, I'm with you, but what does that mean? Until we get specific, then we can't measure it. Once you get specific, you can start to measure it. Okay. Let's go to number 3, something that is attainable. Attainable is, one that I would really say is underrated, because we all think success happens in a day, a week, a month, or year. I mean, I know I did. I thought that I would have a couple $100,000 a year business my second or third year. It's just mowing grass. It's just laying mulch. How hard could it be? And then the elusive first goal is I got to get $100,000 a year in revenue. And you're like, oh, it's taking forever. It took me forever to do $100,000 a year. $100,000 a year. It's ridiculous. And some of you guys are like, dude, I just want to hit 40,000 this year or 80,000 this year. Trust me, I totally get it. I'm not trivializing it or putting that down at all. I'm not any better than that. But 3 years ago, I was just cracking 100,000. Then we've grown since then. And then we started another company that did a couple of $100,000. And I'm like, man, I need to get out of my own way. And there was things I had to learn. There was lessons I had to learn. There was different things I had to learn how to set goals with, to measure. And then we wanted to make sure that they were attainable. One thing I want to say about attainability, though, is sometimes I talk to folks and they're like, it's my first year in business, and we do a coaching call, and they're like, well, I plan to do at least 300,000, because if I don't do that, then, I'm a loser. And I'm like, whoa, 300,000, bro. I'm like, do you even have a mower picked out yet, or a truck picked out yet? No, but I'm going to get this, and this. And I figure if I just pass out postcards, I should at least hit 150,000, because I got to replace a $90,000 a year income because I'm leaving my job. Okay. That could happen. But you know what I think is probably a pretty safe, fair bet first year goal? Maybe 30 to 50,000, maybe 60, 70,000. Maybe your second or third year, 75 to 90, 100, 110. Right? Let's set attainable goals, something that's realistic. Now, I know that's counter to what you hear from pretty much everybody else on the planet. If you don't grow your income by $1 million, you're a loser. If you don't set huge goals, and if you don't fall flat on your face and you miss them because you were trying so hard and you made 60% progress, and whatever, dude. That's the funniest thing ever to me. It's like the guy making $100,000 a year who says, I'm going to make $1 million next year. Okay, that might work. And in fact, it could work. But the reality is, what I've noticed is that you can grow your company 3, 5, 10, 20, 50%. Typically 10, 20, 30% year over year. Because unless you're growing 100 or 1,000% personally self-development wise, your income is not going to keep up. And I can almost tell you where your income is going to be the following year based on the books you read and the people you associate with and the way you talk. I can almost dial it in probably about 5 or 10 grand. And then if I ask, what kind of car you drive, where do you live, and what your friends do for a living, I'm not judging. It's just I can figure it out. I've gotten pretty good at figuring out how much people make. And not that I care how much people make, but it's just interesting that people are like, well, I'm going to go make $1 million. And I'm like, well, how much is the most money you've ever made? And like, well, 70,000. I go, okay, so you're going to help me out. 15x your income next year? Maybe you'd have to have a super solid foundation and a really good company with a bunch of good systems to be able to scale that fast. Instead, if you made 100,000, you know it's a really good goal? Getting back to 100,000. For real. You guys think I'm like being funny here. No, get back to 100,000 and then add 20%. Add 30%. Go make 120, 130,000 in revenue. And I'm just being serious, because just because you get to one level doesn't mean you're going to get back to it the next year. Like, newsflash, alarm, we don't get to ride on the coattails of our previous year's success. I mean, like last year we did 170,000 in Brian's Law Maintenance. This year we're coming up short for sure. We're down because we didn't have the opportunity to work for a couple months, and this year winter, which would have been January, February, March, was pretty much a wash. We had a couple good days, but for the most part, it was a wash compared to year over year. And how do you pick that up? How do you clean that up? I'm doing the best I can, but I'm like, it's not exactly the best year that I would like to see. No fault of my own necessarily, you know. So I understand the guys that are killing it and crushing it. It's your best year ever. Some of us, we can't deal with certain circumstances beyond our control, and then other of you guys are in a rebuilding year. We are all in different phases. Now I'm jacked about my business more than I've ever been. I'm like, dude, we're like making more profit. We got less customers, less headaches, more profit, more good things going on. We're more efficient. We're what do they say? Growing the top, dissolving the bottom. We hired new people. We're training new people. Like, my company is ready to crush it for 2021. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, which is pretty much what I think I said last year, January, February. But other than somebody holding me back and saying you can't go to work, I'm ready to rock and roll. Okay. But the person that's wanting to make $100,000 a year and go right to $1 million might happen, might not. Let's set incremental goals. Now, that might be contrary to 99% of every guru you hear out there. And I will also tell you that 99% of those people want to sell you on something. And it's typically not on you. It's typically they want to sell you something. They want to sell you a product, a service, a system, an event, something. Okay. And that's fine. That's cool. God bless them. God bless their hustle. But I'm just telling you, I've very rarely seen anybody go from $100,000 year income to $1 million in a single year. Now, unless they had just like a massive company that was doing 50 million and they like were building a new 100,000 square foot facility. I'm thinking like First Farm, and they can like grow 30 or 40 million in a year. I don't know if they did. I'm just saying, but they had the foundation laid, over the last like 7 to 8 years, and a new facility. So let's keep it in context, right? But again, the new guy, it's just you and a helper. Let's set some realistic goals, man. Add $20,000, $30,000 a year to your income. I'll ask you, when's the last time you added 20 or 30 grand to your checking account or your business in 1 year, right? Sometimes we're like, oh, I'm Mr. Success, I'm Mr. Businessman. Well, did you actually add $20,000, $30,000 more to your income into your pocketbook this year? Because if not, humble the ego, slow down, let's learn some things. Let's just be honest. Shakespeare said, thou shalt not foolest thyselfeth, right? So let's just make sure that we're not faking ourselves out. Okay, that's huge. Let's keep going. Something that's relevant or relatable. Okay, I'm not going to beat a dead horse on this one. Something that can help you set goals that is relatable to now. Don't set a goal that's 10 years out, 20 years out. Do you want to have 5 and 10 year goals? Sure. Okay, but I've noticed personally that you always have to, change the direction of the airplane, steer the ship, whatever analogy you want to use, and have, monthly goals, yearly goals. That's a great way to set something that's a relatable goal. Hey, this year I want to add $50,000. It's specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, it's relevant. Okay, let's set something that's relevant to now. Don't be so, I get a lot of younger guys that ask me between 16 and like 21 during high school or college, and they're in like entrepreneurship classes, and they're like, hey, I'm doing a paper on, a successful entrepreneur, and it's got to be like related to the industry I want to go in. Can I do it on you? And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Like, I'm honored that you would even ask me. Yeah, shoot me an email. And if that is you listening in, dude, whatever I can do to help you guys out and hopefully try to give you some good answers and make you guys look good and get an A or 100% or whatever, check plus or a smiley face, whatever they're doing now in school. Let me know, email me, and I'll get that over to you, and I'll answer those questions. And it's really, really fun to have those relevant conversations and those answers that I can give to help people have a successful business and a successful life. So of course I'm going to take the time to answer those surveys. but you got to keep it something that's relatable, something that's relevant, something that you want to have happen in the next couple years, right? If we don't, then we're just going to be all over the place trying to set goals for 2 or 5 years out from now. And I'm like, can we just set something that's relatable for like next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? That's something that to me is way more relatable than setting a 5-year business plan, which is what a lot of these questions ask on these surveys that the teachers always bring up. Like, what's the 5-year business plan for your business? And I'm like, listen, and just unless you're the SBA loan, which the SBA department, like that question, do you have a business plan for your business? Yeah, it's called, I set yearly goals and we set measurable, attainable, relatable goals. But this 5-year business plan thing, this 10-year business plan thing, maybe you do. Now, you might have this like big 10-year grandiose or 20-year grandiose plan. And you're like, well, I got to figure out the details along the way. I like that. But for some of the people that are like, well, what's your 5-year business plan for your lawn care company or your whatever? I'm like, dude, that's not maybe that's how you run your business. I'm just telling you, that's not how I run my business. My business is what do we need today? What do we need this month? What do we need this quarter? What are we trying to do this year? Okay. And that's what I'm trying to finish by the end of the year. Now, I guess if you want to set a 5-year plan and have like, I want to hit 50 grand this year, 100 grand the next year, 200, 250, 400, like that's a good business plan. But it just don't get so lost in planning out year 4 and 5 when you haven't even planned out year 1, 2, and 3. I mean, you can aim for that. I'm just telling you straight up, I don't plan more than probably 12, 18 months out in advance. I know I do because I already know what I'm going to be doing all next year. Like literally monthly. I'm like, all right, this is when it's starting. This is when I'm getting the Tesla. This is when we're going to, start a family. This is when we're going to start building our break ground. This is when the framing is going to be there. I know when to track and measure. So I will tell you, I got a big 12, 18 month timeline and horizon for my goal setting. But outside of that, what are you going to do in 5 years? What are you going to do? YouTube or Brian's Maintenance? I'm like, dude, nobody even saw COVID happening 6 months ago. And you're going to go plan 4 years out. It's ridiculous. And this is the same thing with college. You're going to go get a 4-year degree. Your chosen career and field is already going to be irrelevant 2 years into your 4-year degree. And people wonder if I think college is a scam. Hell yeah, it's a scam. And don't send me an email if you don't agree. It's my podcast. You can do your podcast and you can tell everybody what you think. But getting $100,000 in student loan debt, more student loan debt than there is mortgage debt, and tell me that's not by design. Come on, guys. All right, let's talk about the last thing, and that's time-bound. Time-bound, something that that you can accomplish by such and such time and such date. Okay, it helps us to further quantify the first 4 letters. Okay, if you can keep your focus on track with what you're doing to set goals, that is going to help you accomplish them. It's no more complicated than that. We want to be smart. Okay, smart goals: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Okay. You want to accomplish such and such by such and such time, such and such date. You can measure it along the way, and it's relatable to what you're trying to accomplish for your future. I think, bar none, that is the most successful way to set goals, and something that I've done, or at least thought about. It's not like I was like, what's the M? What's the A? I don't do that. But I do say, all right, I want to add 10,000 new subscribers by such and such date and such time. My second channel on YouTube, I want to monetize this channel by such and such date with such and such time with this many subscribers. My lawn landscape business, we want to get 15 new customers by such and such date by such and such time because it's going to help us with the macro goal, right? So I do this all day. I set a goal. And by the way, this is something I said on a video probably about a year or two ago. And again, it's like the helpful videos that I'll get about 3,000 views, and then I do like a mowing tall grass and it gets like 75,000 views. So all the good stuff is always in the low view count videos, generally speaking, right? It's just, I don't know why, I don't know how. But if you're setting goals, you got to know what you want, why you want it, when you want it, and then you got to know what you're willing to give up to get it. It's another great way to set goals. You got to know what you want in life. You got to know why you want it. You got to know when you want it. And then what are you going to have to give up to get it? That was an oldie but a goodie that I heard a long time ago as well. And what does that mean? What do you got to give up to get it? Well, let's say you want to be, somebody who's more physically fit and whatnot. And you get some specific goals, you set some smart goals. Well, you got to know what you want. You got to know why you want to get fit. You got to know when you want to get fit by. But what are you willing to give up to get fit? You might have to give up video games. You might have to give up partying. You might have to give up eating out 3 nights a week with your friends and going to Fridays and Applebee's, right? So these are some great ways to set goals. The 4 that I just gave you, and then the SMART system. Okay. And here's why I do this is that 95% done with the year. And a lot of us hit our goals. A lot of us did not hit our goals. And some of us were kind of right there. We're kind of coming up short, but we kind of like are just in the middle. Okay. And what I would just really try to give you guys some encouragement on is try to set goals for progress. Don't set goals for perfection. Okay. What do they always say? The enemy of good is great. And there's no such thing as great. There's no such thing as perfection. You can have great. And a lot of folks are always trying to set perfect business goals, perfect timeframes, perfect parameters, the perfect product versus setting excellence. Excellence is what I always strive for. Excellence, good, great, if we can. And what is that? That is doing the best you can with what you got, right? So some of us, you guys came up short, but you know what? You worked your heart out and you left it all on the table. That's okay, man. Maybe you lost, but you still did the best you can. Some of you guys, you're right there. You're having a good year. You couldn't control certain things outside of your control, but what you can always control is your actions and your attitude, right? I know that I kept a positive attitude this year. It dipped a little bit sometimes here and there, but I kept a good attitude as long as I could, as best I could. I controlled what I can control. And outside of that, certain things I couldn't control. No matter how hard I tried, we couldn't go and work for a certain couple of months, right? And it is what it is. Life goes on, okay? You have good years, you have not so good years, and then you have rebuilding years, right? And for some of you guys that just are crushing it and just hitting it out of the park, dude, hello, let's do a victory lap and celebrate. I'm excited for you. Let's all win big. And you know what? Encourage the people around you. Maybe you won big. Encourage the people that didn't win as much around you. Right? If you didn't win big this year, you know what? Still clap for the people who are successful, right? I saw a meme once that said, until I get mine, I'm going to continue to clap for the people who got theirs. Something like that. And I thought it was just really insightful, really inspiring, right? Some people are winning. Keep cheering those people on, right? Because if you keep cheering people on and you keep being a cheerleader, eventually you'll get promoted too. Because maybe the season you're in, God's watching you and to see how you're responding and how you're reacting to what was given to you this year. And if you've got a lot of bad attitude, a lot of pity, a lot of, jealousy, a lot of hatred, a lot of whatever, maybe God's just saying, hey, I was testing you with some of this stuff to see how you would do with it. And you know what? You didn't really pass the test, so there's no reason for me to promote you next year. But you know what? The next guy who's going through like the worst year of his life, he's got a great attitude. He's thankful. He's humble. He's appreciative. And he's looking for the silver lining. God's going to go, you know what? Because that guy was faithful, because he was diligent, I'm going to promote him in the next year. And if you do the best you can in the season you got, I promise you God will take care of you and promise to promote you at the right time to move your business and your life forward. Okay. Just a little bit of encouraging word. Don't get jealous. Don't get offended, nothing like that. Let's just be a community that inspires, a community that encourages. And as a lot of folks say, a rising tide raises all ships. So that's my beautiful podcast that I got here for you guys today. I don't know if there's ever been a podcast described with an adjective, but I'm sure Marty, Mr. Producer, is somehow going to rag on me with that one. And I love it. So Marty is the GOAT of podcasting, the GOAT of being a producer. Couldn't do without him. Thank you so much for him working hard, even through the holiday week, guys. So if you guys want to show him some love and support for also being the quarterback of the podcast, leave those all important 5-star ratings and reviews. And you guys know he always does those live reads for you guys at the end of the week. We had 6 of them come in just this last week. We really appreciate that support. Don't forget to leave those 5-star reviews and ratings. Just scroll down at the bottom of your phone, leave those, and we'll hope to see those and read those on the next episode.
Beautiful Brian Fullerton. Beautiful is not too bad of a word to describe a podcast. It sure beats boring or dreary. Now, I might have gone with magnificent or memorable, or that it's a unique podcast, or that it's addictive. That's one of my favorites. Dazzling is also another great adjective. Realistic. It's poignant if you want to go highfalutin all of a sudden on folks. I think I'm just going to stick, though, with dynamic. It's a dynamic podcast. We certainly are grateful to Nick Carlson, the entire team at Dawson Manufacturing and Mulchmate for bringing you today's show. Make sure that you're following them on Instagram and listen up. This might be a product that's going to save you a ton of work.
expedite your productivity. Introducing CartMate Pro and RS by Dawson Manufacturing. This industry-leading front-mounted zero-turn articulating cart mounts to the front of the mower you already own, making you more profitable. With the ability to move mulch, leaves, dirt, and much, much more 2 to 3 times faster and dump your load effortlessly, you'll increase productivity while reducing labor costs. What could you do with the extra time? I'm sure your wife has an idea. Order your CartMate Pro today at mulchmateusa.com and never wheelbarrow again. That's mulchmateusa.com or text Labor Saver to 31996. That's Labor Saver to 31996 for exclusive deals, info, and maybe even some freebies. Normal text messaging rates apply.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.